So when we think about recommendations, we think about it in several different ways. We give you one view that will show you all your recommendations across all your different cloud providers. But we also want you to be able to slice this and look at it by client, by business group, by application, and see where that opportunity really lies, right? Do I want to focus on an application team? Do I want to focus on an individual client? And when we give you these savings numbers, we're not just looking at on-demand savings rate. If I go from size A to size B, it's not at that on-demand rate. We're looking at the true cost of the resource, and that cost can have a markup on it. If you don't pass through RI or savings plan discounts, we'll show that at on-demand rates. So this gives you that one view of what the true savings to your end user is going to be, and it allows you to slice it in different ways. And so we'll give you the all-up recommendations here, and then because you need the details behind it, we have all these detail tabs. They'll give you the information behind each of the resource recommendations. And a good example of where these recommendation details come in handy is when we're looking at things like auto parking or right sizing, and people are saying, well, I can't park that resource because we have people around the world, they're developing against it 24/7. It always has to be on. Well, we show you the data to fight those arguments and make sure that people understand that, yes, you may be looking at something that is on most of the time, but we can see here where our CPU on nights and weekends is never above that 25% mark, or never above, maybe we want to be more aggressive and look at anything on nights and weekends that's less than 5% CPU. Because not only are these candidates for parking, these are candidates to right size and go through and say, okay, well, how do we, be more efficient in our cloud usage? And we come down here and we have all the details here. And these detail tabs are great for getting, what's the nitty gritty of where I can save money. But a lot of times what you need to focus on is what are the one or two big ticket items that I can hit throughout the month to start generating that savings, just to get that, forward momentum going. And so on our savings overview tab, we give you a quick hit list, right? These are things that we can focus on. And if we can, remove this one snapshot, or we can look at this one EC2 instance and move it to a new family or right size it, we can gain a good amount of savings for that month right here by doing one action. So just giving you the tools you need to understand all the detail behind the recommendations, but also just that quick hit list of how can we move forward and just get that one recommendation, or that, that one team to start actioning and moving forward and getting that progress and getting that trust in, this is an all up activity that's for the benefit of the whole group. Because with that, savings, you can go through and you can start playing with the fun new technologies. You can start developing that net new application.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Joanne, so I heard a couple of things I liked. One, obviously giving recommendations. That's always good. I know. And two, giving context, right? And so hopefully creating a cheat sheet or a short list. So maybe some ways in which those are helpful for you, and any other insights you want to share.
Absolutely. And Michael had it right. The quick wins, going through and looking to see what you can do quickly to help your customers save money. It's huge with the support management. You have upsell remediation opportunities. Suppose they don't have the resources to do a family refresh. That's where we can offer additional services for our customers. If they're not aware that they have an idle load balancer or database running and they didn't know that it was there, well, let's get that turned off so we can save you some money. Those are things that I like to recommend to our customers.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. Context is, I feel what I've heard in the past as well, is extremely important. So it's good you're getting insight there. Appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
And Akush, looking at recommendations, context is everything. So I think is very important how folks have used it. Maybe a little bit of background on, where we were at with supporting customers initially.
Yeah. So where we're at with recommendations today really drove from client feedback. We would provide recommendations and people would be like, what would make this great is if we had this additional data set, or, what would make this really useful or more meaningful or more actionable is to be able to understand this aspect of it, whether it's, the data resource was spun up or the data became idle, CPU, memory utilization. When looking at auto parking, understanding when things are truly spinning up and spinning down or when they're being used. So where we're at from a recommendation standpoint was really driven by what do you need to make that recommendation? And so, we talked about low hanging fruit and focusing on that and giving people the ability really to just target, how do I get the ball rolling, is the motivation behind how we set up our recommendations and the data behind, or the data we provide behind it.